Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Nova Talks. Today, we have a great guest. We'll likely go over all the trials, triumphs, and everything in between, but won't make this introduction too long. Brian, please introduce yourself.
How we doing, Hamleys? I'm Brian. I run a agency called Aid Media now. Been doing it for a little over a year. Partner with Nova Echo here, and these guys are great. And so Hamley wants to come and talk about AI. So I'm like, yeah, let's do it.
All right, can you tell us a bit about Aid Media? What is it that you do specifically?
Yeah, so we help people implement AI into their business, usually a small business. So there's a lot of we talk to a whole lot of people a whole lot of business owners and entrepreneurs who say, "Yeah, I hear about the AI thing and I know it's the way of the future. I just don't know what to do with it." And so we help them implement it, usually to generate revenue. So we help them either that's through AI callers, conversational texting are the biggest two that we do, or, maybe they have most of the workflow done. They just can't make all the phone calls, and we help them set up AI phone callers. And there's intricacies in there, but that's the basis of it.
All right, so you help iron out the structure and the details of their funnels. You help them generate more revenue. What are some verticals you typically work with?
So we work with you guys. We work with Nova Echo.
Gotcha. But on the server side, what type of clients do you work with?
There we go. Okay. So we work with dog trainers, actually. Dog trainers is actually really big. We work with electricians. We actually have a axe throwing room. It's called a rage room, if you've heard of rage rooms.
Yes, I have.
Similar to axe throwing. And we have solar companies and real estate companies. So a little bit of a spectrum there.
Yeah, I mean that's quite the spectrum. Rage
Yeah.
rooms to electricians. It's like you're on both ends of the spectrum there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So do you find it to be a bit of a difficult process working with completely different businesses, or what's your experience there?
So at first we thought we would, to be quite honest. My background is in solar, so I connect very well with solar companies. I
Hmm.
have near 2 decades in solar, and so we thought we'd connect with them well. It turns out we connect with anybody who needs help. There's a lot of people out there, like dog trainers is a very perfect example. If you're training a dog, you're not answering the phone. And also dog trainers we find don't like to they like to talk about the dog, but they don't like to ask people for money. So,
Hmm.
so the AI actually helps them do that, right? A lot of people click on leads, dog trainers specifically. There's a lot of filtering because it's like, oh, I have a dog, but I have no money. That happens a lot. So the AI makes all the phone calls while you're training dogs. It'll make all the phone call and it'll qualify them, and if they're willing to have some, a little bit of capital to get their dog trained, we can set you up an appointment with the dog trainer specifically at a very specific time, whether it's over the phone or in-home visit to visit the dog.
Hmm.
And then at that point, you can close them on the deal. But the cool thing is they're already warmed up and they're already prepared, for what that end conversation is going to be. So, and the other thing that dog trainers don't do is actually call their leads, mainly because they don't want to, but also
Why
because they're
is that?
training dogs.
Oh, okay.
But we have a few that just don't want to, right? But in dog training, which is like in everything, but in dog training, the first or second person they talk to, they're going to go with for the dog trainer. And if you're not the first one to talk to them, you're going to lose that lead, right? And if you don't pick up the phone when they call, they're just going to call the next guy in the list. And whoever picks up is who they're going to get their training from. So that's very important that you reach out very quickly and the AI can call them right away.
So speed is the name of the game here. That's the essence
Yes, sir.
of the
Yes,
business
sir.
net.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Did I hear correctly? You said you have 2 decades in this space, media,
Yeah, in the solar industry. In
in
the
solar
solar
industry,
industry.
solar
Yeah.
industry. Gotcha. So then, what caused you to have this transition into AI?
Love it. So we in the solar industry, it was so fun 20 years ago. There were no laws basically. Like when I say no laws, I mean there was like literally three sentences of laws. Like it's super basic and you could do anything you wanted to. And what that meant was we could help customers as much as possible from a business standpoint. There were no laws getting in the way to helping the customer. And so we would very ethically help customers as much as possible and it was fun. We were very involved in the community we were in, right? You go to the grocery store and you would see customers, hey, you set up my solar, stuff like that. As businesses got money hungry and more laws got written, I must admit, more laws got written, it got harder to service the customer in an efficient manner. And so, you have to figure out how to work your business around red tape, basically. And so
Hmm.
they would penny pinch, right? Every company started doing this, started penny pinching, really tightening down how you could help and service customers, what was available to customers. And so I just saw it as it got annoying to where I was like, I used to be able to spend $300 if I broke a sprinkler, right, or something like that. And it got to where it's like, no, you have to fill out a form. We have to approve it. We have to get 3 bids. And so something that we could go fix for, $300 and one day, we could fix it the next day became this bureaucracy of red tape where it's like it takes 2 weeks now. Now it takes 3 weeks, right? And then it's in the middle of the summer, so their grass dies. Like it just became a mess to serve customers, and that got really annoying. Eventually, companies sort of started to figure it back out, but at the same time, it was all about servicing customers to me. Right after COVID, actually during COVID, solar was great. If anybody's curious, that's a
Yeah.
fun story. Right after COVID, though, is when just financial stuff hit. Long story short, there was a financial bubble in the solar industry, and tons of companies went out of business. My company went out of business. I switched companies and just was around people. This is what ultimately pushed me over the edge to completely change industries. I was around people, they were good people, but they were not what I wanted to be in 5 years. And if those people weren't what I wanted to be in 5 years, I just didn't want to hang around
Got to
them
make a change.
for that long. Yep.
Yeah.
And so I always knew, this is 10, 12 years in my brain that I wanted to be an entrepreneur style and start my own company. I just didn't know in what. I didn't have like a deep conviction belief in, I hadn't found a product that I could like just a deep conviction for. And I literally stumbled upon AI, stumbled upon a network of people who were doing this thing. And it was something I could believe in because we can help service customers, right? We can answer the phone. We can be that phone answering machine, answering conversational machine, and make sure your phone is answered 100% of the time, right? We can reach out to the leads instantly, right? We can service customers in a really good way with AI. Because I believe in that so much, the product matched what I wanted to do. And it was just, I'm now around people that I want to be around and who I want to build good examples of what I want to build my life into. And that's what made the change.
So it's safe to say that you believe AI is the future.
Oh, yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is what the transition is for. So, I mean, I don't know about you, but for me, there was a bit of a learning curve utilizing this technology. I mean, there's so much you can do, from image generation to video generation, just general chat GPT, but it can get very complex and having to learn the different tools. How was that process for you to kind of get familiar with the technology?
Yeah, great question. Number one, watch everything you ever possibly can. So there's a ton of YouTube videos out there. A lot of them are surface level, right? Watch all the surface level videos and just learn what people are doing. There's also coding, like actual coding videos that I'm not into because I would much rather customer facing AI is not coding really. And so I call them workflow videos, and it's just how to build a workflow and how to make the AI do what you actually want it to so that it can get to the customer facing level. And so I gotta be honest, I just watched a ton of videos. Then I started networking like heavy, and I just started asking people, hey, I noticed you do this. What do you think about this? And they would go, I don't know. I just asked this guy. Right. And so then if enough people say that, you kind of start getting to the developers themselves. And
Hmm.
then you just say, hey, how do you guys go about doing this? And they go, well, and they give a very, very developy answer. And I go, but the customer doesn't care. Can I just do this? And they go, yeah, you can like this, right? And so you start asking people these questions and start connecting the dots between developers, other people in the community having the same problem, and then finding the right people who can either give the answer or know of a different community that shares those answers around. And so right now it is a little scattered, and you really do have to like
Yeah.
network around and like find the right people that are gonna be able to help you bring all the pieces together. But that's the number one thing is like join as many communities as you can and just start asking, how do you do this? Right?
So
That's how
that's,
it
I
works.
mean, that's very interesting because, and I'm sure you're well aware that this is something unprecedented in human history. You haven't seen anything like this with the level of growth or how quickly it grows and changes. It's safe to say that what people may be learning now could switch or could evolve within a mere months. So it's very difficult, I think, for some people to kind of understand the grasp of this change, how things are evolving, how lives will in 2 years be vastly different, I believe, than what they are right now. What do you think would be, well, how do you feel about the current state of how education is being distributed in regards to AI now versus what it should be?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So education right now is not together. So there's definitely like communities, like school communities or little communities like that exist, but they're so specific that like you have to join all of them, right?
Mm.
And so if you want to go learn how to be good at Go High Level, build workflows in Go High Level specifically, you have to watch a bunch of YouTube videos. You have to sometimes talk to Go High Level, but Go High Level also refers you to like networks out there. So even when you
Yeah.
talk to the company itself, they have a hard time, or you have to read an article. And I'm like, why would I read? Like, it's kind of tough. But then there's other products, right? If you want to learn how to build voice prompts, there are a bunch of voice prompt communities, but they're voice prompts for specific products, right? Because there's really like six major voice prompt softwares. So you have to be in each of one of those communities. But to make the voice prompt work and to actually talk to the customer, because you can build a prompt but have it do nothing. So if
Hmm.
you wanted to actually do something, you have to join a different community, right? And so you really got to be involved in like 4 or 5 communities to really make the connection of just want my voice to talk to a customer and then email the information somewhere. But so that's where it's at right now. And so I see if people are very willing to give away free information right now, and I see people starting to hone in of join my class, join my course for $25 a month, $50 a month. And so right now there is a lot of free stuff, but if you really want to know things, it's cheap, but you still have to join 5 or 6 communities at a cheap price. I do see education coming together at some point and people actually collaborating and building some type of all-in-one encompassing, course or
Yeah.
academy. And I see it being a moderately fair price to join, but I see it being like really good and necessary, to be quite honest, because there's a lot of agencies out there that can sell, but they can't fulfill. And I've seen that. And so we have to be careful in our industry that we're not ruining it with the ability to not fulfill, right? Like we have
Yeah.
to be able to serve our customers. And so we want to be able to keep that going.
Do you think at some point this will become a standard in curriculum? Do you think it's going to be offered for free at a large scale for people to learn the very basics and maybe some intermediate level skills in AI?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like
Yeah,
it
I
has to, right?
I do. The free basic stuff, there's definitely basic free stuff, and that will always be there, right? Like
Yeah.
if you want the 101 course, that will always be free. The 102 and the
And that's free
202,
now.
that's free now. Yeah,
Okay.
you can get 101. Like I said, you got to go to 5 or 6 different networks,
But they're
but
there.
you can get all the 101. Yeah, they're there for sure. The other side of it is I do actually see this going into eventually. It'll take a little while. There'll be a course in college. I think that'll take a few years, 3 or 4 years, because colleges are slow to adapt. But I also think that eventually this could be into high schools, where you know how I mean high schools used to have typing class, right? Maybe they still do.
Hmm.
You learn to type in high school. There's other technical courses, but I see this being like a workflow class in high school, like in all honesty, where you learn how to quickly build an AI workflow, right? Something like that.
Like as
And
an
so
elective.
yeah, as an elective. Yeah, exactly, exactly. So I see this going a lot of different places, and education's a huge piece of keeping our industry on par and keeping our industry in check, checking itself, right? Keeping itself in check.
I'd like to reel it back a little bit here and kind of gauge your experience on some of the difficulties you faced in your transition from solar to what you're doing now. Is there anything that kind of sticks out that you're like, man, this is a tough one, but that you cracked somehow?
Yeah, the software is not
I'm sure
free.
there's many.
Yeah, it's true. Software is not free. And so there are free trials. And so I have a whole lot of emails for a lot of free trials because everything in here is a trial and error, right? You don't do it once and it works. You have to do it once and
Hmm.
something's always broken. And so that is the tricky part of it is like
Man,
actually
that's
learning. Yeah.
that's a great quote there.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Getting that tested it's tricky to get enough free trials to make sure you're actually good at it.
Hmm.
The other part of that was difficult was knowing exactly the pain point of the business. So when you start, you would think that a business's issue is one of two things. One, talking to their current customers, and honestly, most businesses don't care to do that. Number two is they all want to generate revenue. And so when you talk about workflows and generating revenue, it all comes down to talking to a lead and making a sale. And so when you talk to a business and you're like, yeah, you're going to make more sales, they're like, okay, well, how are you going to help me make more sales? Right. And that's the problem you have to solve. So you have to be very specific of this is how I'm going to help you make more sales. And that includes knowing how to run Facebook ads, which is not AI. That's been around for a while.
Hmm.
But that includes that.
So it sounds to me like it's a merging of pre-existing systems and sequences with the use of AI and
Yeah.
with the purpose of improving efficiency, being able to scale, and also earning your time back as a business owner.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. The other thing that's tricky, and this is coming along a little better, but it's been tricky for the last 6, 7, 8 months. the language. So when people throw out terms like webhooks, API, N8N,
Hmm.
workflows, when people throw those terms out, there's a generality that you have an understanding of what those terms actually are. But a lot of people just have no idea what they are. And so they say these terms and they're like, yeah, it's easy. You just do a webhook. Sometimes that's true. And sometimes that's not the right way to say it. So you do have to be careful of, the language being thrown around.
Yeah, that happens all the time. People throw API, not sure what it stands for.
Exactly.
I mean, for those that don't know, I believe it's application programming interface, and it's what allows you to have several apps, external apps, communicate with one another for the
Yeah.
most
Yeah.
part. Okay. For
Yep.
those of you who didn't know, now you do.
That's the basic.
Thanks
Yeah.
to
That's
Brian.
the basic.
Gotcha. Yeah, so drew a blank there for a second. Sorry about that. But now that you've got some time, you've been learning and implementing AI into your businesses, what would you consider, well, first and foremost, would you consider yourself successful in the space now? And if not, what would it take?
So I would consider myself moderately successful for a startup. So
Okay.
there's a lot of people that have been doing this as long as I have that are maybe half as where I'm at or a little lower. And so I'm on the up and coming for sure, and we're getting there. But the cool thing is we have a really good plan of what we want to do, and we're not trying to be this all purposeful AI company, right? We're very specific on how we help people. If we can't help you, I'll tell you. But we also know what you're trying to do. Like we're really good at knowing what the business actually wants to try and do. So if the business comes at us and they're like, I just want to use AI, and we just go, well, cool. What do you want to use it for? I don't know. Make more sales, right? Like it's so vague. And so
Yeah.
we try and break it down like, well, okay, what do you know about AI? And what are you doing now to make more sales? Because AI is not like a fix it. It's a tool in a business plan, right? And so we try and make sure that they actually have the business plan before we give them the tool to execute.
Yeah, I'm sure you have the same experience as me. I've gone on so many sales calls where they're kind of like, yeah, I want AI to make me a lot of money. And it's
Yeah,
like, okay,
exactly.
how do you do that? It's not just gonna magically turn it on and
I
you
know.
got a money printer working. No, it's a tool, so you have to have something already in place in motion, and then you utilize AI to just help make it more efficient, have it do a specific function, and it'll aid you in your current efforts. It's not gonna make your business.
Yeah. Like
And
here's
that's yeah, go ahead.
a perfect example. Yesterday I talked to a guy. He was like, look, I run Facebook ads for this many companies and I can't call all of the leads. I just can't do it. And I have people coming at me wanting to spend more money on Facebook ads because I'm so good at it. And I go, great, what's your plan? Like, what do you plan on doing? He's like, well, I'm either going to hire more SDRs, right? Or I'm going to use AI. And if I know what hiring SDRs does, there's turnover. You hire five, one's good, you got to hire four more. Maybe one of those guys is good. You got to hire four more. But he's like, and then you hire and fire during the peak seasons, right? If I lose two companies, then my SDRs are bored, right? I got to let them go. Just
Yeah.
kind of the mess of the SDR program. And he was like, if I use AI, I can scale up and down all I want. I know everything's getting called. They never take off work, right? All I got to do is monitor the system and make sure it doesn't get stuck, right? And if it gets stuck, I click go.
Hmm.
I check it once or twice a day, and we're on our way. And so he was like, that's what I want to use it for specifically. And I was like, you have a plan. We can help you. We know what's going on, right? And that is the way to do it, not to just say like you were like, hey, I just want to use AI to make me money. Like, okay.
Yeah. I always love saying, AI will never call out on you. AI will never ask for PTO. They'll never ask for sick leave. So it's a lot more efficient. And they don't demand high salaries. You know what I mean? It's fairly affordable, and of course, it's more about the return on investment than it is what you pay up front. And that's another subject I kind of wanna pick your brain about. Things now, they're new. Some prices seem to be a bit exorbitant, and they are. But do you believe that there's a correlation between the value that you get, the return on investment, versus the price that's currently going around in the current industries?
Yeah, there's kind of three prices being thrown around, three style of prices being thrown around that I
Mm,
should say. The return on investment is there, 100%. If you're going to hire somebody, how much do you hire them for? And these are averages, right? In California and New York, it's going to be way higher, but these are
hmm.
kind of averages. You're going to hire somebody for around 3 grand a month. If you W-2 them, you're hiring them with taxes and maybe health insurance. So you're more than 3 grand a month. That's just salary. And so if you're paying for an AI system and within 2 months, the ROI is coming right back, right? You're using this because you were thinking about hiring somebody. What's the cost of that? What's the cost of training? 6 months worth of time with you over their shoulder, plus salary, right? All that stuff. What's the cost of training with AI? 2 days to 2 weeks, right? And we're up
Hmm.
and running. And so in California, it's more, and people are moving to 1099s. Like the sales industry is moving to
Yeah.
1099, like they 1099 everybody.
Majority,
So,
yeah.
but you're losing 6 to 20%, right? 20 is like really high if you pay in a really good closer. 6 is
Yeah.
kind of on the lower end. But you're losing 6 to 20%. So what's 6 to 20%? Just do the math for yourself. And within 2 months, this pays for it like 10 times over. Also, this will never ask for a commission raise ever. So it's a fixed cost at that point instead of a variable cost, right? And is the guy going to show up? Is he going to go in a slump, in a sales slump or an appointment setting slump, right? Things like that.
Yeah.
And so the ROI, like I said, is usually about 60 days or less. Oftentimes it's 30, often, very often. And so the expensive upfront is a real thing, but like it's worth it. And just
What if
compare
they
it to an
tell
employee.
you? They tell you, but yeah, compared to an employee, the AI isn't as good. Just it doesn't perform as good as my best performer.
And it never
Why would I
will.
switch?
It'll never perform as your top performer. It won't. The top 2% of people, 5% of people will never get replaced by AI. It won't. But isn't it fun to deal with one really good, super top performer and not have to deal with 90% of bullcrap? Like just flat out. Because what's the 90% you're dealing with? You're trying to motivate guys, right? And you're training guys and you're trying to get them to show up and you're trying to get them to stay 15 minutes later to book one more appointment
Hmm.
when they want to go to their kid's soccer game or whatever, right? And so yeah, will it take over the top 5, maybe 10%? No, but you don't got to deal with that 90 big old pile of crap. That's the
Yeah.
90% of what you're dealing
Yeah.
with.
And the time that's spent on there as well. They say time
Yeah,
is money. You have managers' times that have to be spent, man hours, training, reprimanding, putting
yep,
them on performance reviews,
yeah, yeah.
whatever you may call it. It all hinders the operations efficiency in the long run. I always mention as well that although it may not be as good as the top performer, it can outwork a top performer. It
That's
can do more
true.
hours than a top performer.
That's true.
The AI calling system that Noveco provides can do 1,800 calls simultaneously. There's no top performer in the world that can replicate that. So
Absolutely.
even if their closing rate is even 10 percentage points lower at scale, it is still the more viable option because it's cheaper and you still get more work done. You still get more touch points completed. Overall efficiency increases with an AI system, in my
It's true.
opinion.
That's true. No, it totally does. Just like that guy I was talking to yesterday. He's like, my guy closes 90%. He's a 90% close rate. And I'm like, how many phone calls is he making a day? About 120? He's like, yeah, it's about 120. And there's guys out there that are like, you've probably seen the comments, 120, that's terrible. I make 300. I'm like, you're not closing 90%. That's pretty darn good if you're closing
Hmm.
90%. So, but I was like, yeah, I mean, in all honesty, you're probably missing out on 200-ish total phone calls. So we need to make 60 more additional phone calls. And even if this is a 60% book rate, right? You didn't hire somebody and make all that mess, and it's going to be 60% forever,
60% forever.
right? And then, of course, we can tweak it and make it higher, right? So we can get up there. So are we going to get to 90? Maybe not. But if we're booking 60, 70, and doing it with 10 additional people every other day, right? So 5 additional people are booking every day. Like you're still way up there.
Right, so I'm sure people kind of want to know a bit about you, and I'm very curious as well to know what your business leadership style is. How are you in that setting working with humans? First and foremost, do you have a large team currently?
So I have a business partner, and then we have a back end team, kind of a third party team that we use. So,
Okay, so how do those interactions go?
yeah, it's all about goal. Like 100%, it's all about goal. The goal, right? So when I work with my third party team, a lot of them just be like, "Yeah, well, look at this cool workflow I built." I'm like, "That is awesome." Does it do what we need our client to do? And so it's very focused on doing what the client needs it to do. And so I love letting people create, but I love letting them create for the sole purpose of serving the client. And so that's kind of my style there because I
Okay.
understand like I'm not going to micromanage you, and I'm not gonna come in and be super detailed on how it works. I'm a
Hmm.
very end user. Okay, great. I'm gonna book something. Show me that it books, right, or something like that. Build me a workflow that makes it do this. And if it shows up beautiful on my phone, it'll show up beautiful for a customer.
Of
And so
course.
I do like letting people create, but I'm very aware of showing people what the customers see and saying, but it's ugly to the customer. Whatever the back end is needs to be fixed. That's kind of my style.
Well, the reason why I asked for you to give us a touch of your personality is just because many people feel that with the emergence of AI, there may be a loss of human personal connection. And how pivotal do you think that will be in future business practices once it's fully evolves and adopted.
Personal touch to the customers that are buying the product.
Yeah, like a human touch.
Yep. I actually believe that most businesses, most consumers will expect the first touch point, maybe even the second touch point, to be from an AI. I think they will expect
Mm.
it, and I think in within a year, and it's probably now, honestly, but within a year, I think everybody will expect the first or second touch point to be AI. And I don't think they'll care because we're going to get so good that it will solve their problem. And I think they'll say, first touch point's AI to solve a small problem, right? And the next touch point will be a human. If it's a closer, it'll be a human closer. And that's all human interaction, and everybody will be totally fine with it.
Mm.
Because if it solves their problem, that's what people want.
So at
And
the end of
so,
the day, that triumphs.
yeah, if it goes through AI or not. Now, this is interesting because as a consumer, like if I buy a book, right, and it's all done through I don't care. Business to business, though, that is completely different. And business to
Mm.
business, people will be extremely slow to adopt the AI, like as far as like helping them solve a problem. So if you're going business to business, that will take a long time, I feel like, to remove the human touch. And I think it's just because when you deal with trading money in some way, right, people get weird to give it to a machine.
Yeah. But
But if
it's
you're
so
a con-
strange because I mean, when you think about it, there's more possibility for errors human to human than it would be human to
True.
machine.
Yeah.
The machine is programmed to do exactly what it's mentioned. Not that it can't make a mistake, because there's always programming errors, but the probability that it makes a mistake is a lot less than human. I mean,
Agreed.
I've worked for corporate. I've seen what human
Yeah.
errors look like and how long they take to fix
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
accounting side. It seems contradictory that people would be hesitant, but I 100% agree that that's going to be the case for B2B versus B2C.
I also think B2B people want to make the decision themselves. They want to feel like they're in control. And I don't feel like they will feel like they're in control if it's a machine for like a while to come. Even though you are, like you still are making the decision. If I decide with a machine, okay, machine, you're going to solve this problem for me. Here's some money, fix the problem. It's literally the exact same solve as if I Hamley fix the problem for me. It's the exact same thing, but like I don't know, there's this weird disconnect that business owners have that they feel like they're not in control if it's done through AI.
It seems like a psychological thing, maybe even an
Yeah,
ego thing, and we know that there's lots of ego in
100% ego,
business.
100% ego.
Yeah,
I feel like
that
I'm
I
the
don't think
best
that will escape.
man. Yeah, that's right.
Okay, Brian, I do think that is all the time that we currently have. But please plug yourself in. Where can we find you? Where can people get in contact with Brian?
Yeah, YouTube Aid Media Now. Also, all the socials. So Instagram Aid Media Now, or YouTube Aid Media Now. But also find me on LinkedIn. I'm huge on connecting on LinkedIn. So Brian Rollins on LinkedIn, Rollins. But yeah, Aid Media Now on YouTube and Insta is the best way to do it. Shoot me a DM. And then actually, Hamley, quick plug. I'm throwing out, you were talking about education. We are about 10 days away from starting a more all-encompassing education course. I actually have Nova Echo will be involved as well with
Woohoo!
the training and stuff. Yes, very well. We're actually going to become, and you can actually become certified in voice prompt chatbot workflow, GHL workflow, and N8N workflow. So you'll be able to be certified in those. You'll be able to put it on your resume. You'll be able to show clients, hey, I took a course basically, and I know what I'm doing. And so that launches in about 10 days. And so that is on School, and it's called the AI Certification Academy. So find me on there as well.
Oh man, I think I'm gonna join up myself. I know
Yeah,
that I'm not
it's
a part of the prompting, but that'd be
you can
great.
actually join right now. It's not fully built out. I'll be quite honest. But if you join now before it's fully built out, you can get in free for life. I'll give you that right now. So once it's launched, you can actually join now.
You hear
Once
that,
it's
listeners? We
launched,
gotta.
once it's launched, there will be a small price to it. But if you join in now before pre-launch, right? Go ahead, join in. I'll get you in free for life.
Brian, pleasure speaking with you. This is a great conversation. We'll be in connection soon.
All right. Thanks, Hamley.
All right.